Socialism is now, I think, intellectually and even as reputation in general is dead from the neck up. Socialism used to be defined, I would still define it, and if you want to define socialism, as government ownership of the means of production, okay, or at least control of the means of production. Ownership in the sense of being able to dominate and use the means of production. Hope you can all hear me. And the interesting thing about the socialist system, since half the world is now socialist, in this sense, interesting thing about socialism is that as one after the other country went socialist, the socialists in the United States said, that's not socialism. That's not what I meant by it. I meant something much more humanistic and lovable. And so each socialism, each empirical record of socialism has been repudiated in turn. So that we have a very peculiar situation where the socialists in the Western world keep saying, that's not socialism. If you keep, go down the record, okay, let's see what Cambodia did, for example, under Pol Pot, killing 1/3 of the population, et cetera, et cetera. That's not social. That's not what we meant by socialism. We meant by socialism something people sit around and read Plato. So they keep denying the responsibility for the consequences of their own position. So socialism, I don't think, has a very good reputation anymore. And certainly in the Eastern European countries, I'll get to that in a minute, doesn't have a very good reputation either. Probably a less good reputation than it does here. The article I was sent was from the Los Angeles Times for December 26th, which says rules bent to work Poland's crazy quilt economy. And it's a dateline from Warsaw, Los Angeles Times. It starts off by saying that the manager of a coal mine in Silesia won official praise and bonuses for the mine's impressive production. But that was before the authorities discovered he had ordered his workers to mix rock with the coal pulled out of the mine to boost production figures. And this sort of sums things up. In a socialist country, you don't have a real price system. I'll get to that a little later, too. You don't have a price system. There's no profit and loss test. And so almost inevitably, the socialist managers decide on quantitative figures. You produce, X million board feet of lumber, or of coal in this case. Well, okay, if the managers, who are quite intelligent, they know that their brownie points, if they produce a lot of board feet of lumber, or a lot of coal, they get promoted or get raises. If they produce less, they get demoted, or maybe sometimes go to the rock pile. So they do their best. The economic incentive they have is to boost quantitative figures, even if half the people sort of break their leg in the attempt. In the case of coal, if you mix rock with coal, you obviously can get more coal per unit effort. So that's what they did. In the case of the Soviet Union, years ago, they measured by board feet. You produce, X million board feet of lumber. So they produced X million board feet, except they were very, very narrow pieces of lumber. Okay? So, you don't have or they produce nails, but the nails buckle every time you try to hammer the nail. So you have a situation where, if you go by quantitative figures, you always get messed up. Not in the sense of the Polish disease. And they go on to say, it's kind of cute, as one Westerner in Warsaw put it about Poland, about the crazy, quote, economic regulations. Everybody's ripping off everybody else, and since government agencies are the biggest and most tempting targets, they are being ripped off more than anyone else. Okay. And they had done this by pure, by mineral quantitative coal production and all that, and so this is what happened. So this is just one indication, one small microcosm of what happens in socialist countries in general.